Hey everybody, and Tony here. I know I was supposed to make my top 30 favorite reviewers of all time video, but that would have been a bit too time consuming for the likes of me because I also had this New Year's Eve gala concert to attend, and if I would have recorded that video in about 3 or 2 parts right now, then it would have been really time consuming to edit everything, and I would have missed this particular concert. With that said, my top 30 favorite reviewers of all time list will be pushed to tomorrow on New Year's Day, so definitely look out for that. In the meantime, this is my review of the New Year's Eve gala concert at the Kungliga Operan with Spinto soprano Emily McGee, Spinto tenor Zoran Todorovic, Spinto tenor Sergei Polyakov, and of course, Maestro Daniele Calegari on the podium along with the orchestra and chorus of the Kungliga Operan. Alexandrs Antonenko was supposed to be the tenor of the evening, but due to him being ill at the time, he was replaced by not one, but 2 tenors, the aforementioned Zoran Todorovic and Sergei Polyakov. Why they did that, I'll never know. But enough about that. Let's get on to what I thought about the concert. The gala concert started off with the Dance of the Hours from Ponchielli's La Gioconda. The first half basically composed of very small arias and very small musical interludes, most notably the intermezzo from Puccini's Manon Lescaut and even Visi d'Arte from Puccini's Tosca, sung by Emily McGee, and even E Lucevan le Stelle from that same opera, sung by Sergei Polyakov, and even Puccini's La Fanciulla del Vest, where Zoran Todorovic sang Che la mi creda, Dick Johnson's aria, and there was a duet between De Grieux and Manon, done by Sergei Polyakov and Emily McGee respectively. The second half consisted of Verdi, in which it started off with the overture to I Vespri Siciliani, which then led up to the Otello and Desdemona duet, Già nella notte densa, sung wonderfully by Zoran Todorovic as the Otello and Emily McGee as the Desdemona, which then led up to Va Pensiero from Verdi's Nabucco, which was wonderfully sung by the chorus of the Kungliga Operan, and they managed to pronounce every single word with pure and crystalline diction, and I also loved their rendition of the humming chorus in the first part of the concert. And Emily McGee's rendition of Pace, Pace mio Dio was actually quite gorgeous, even though she sounded a little bit underpowered in terms of how she finished that final high note. But you really have to give her credit for her awesome musicianship, and she was just absolutely strong and wonderful on stage. And Zoran Todorovic's rendition of Njun mi tema was really well done. And I also loved how they managed to wrap everything up not only with Verdi's triumphal scene from Aida, but also Viva il vino spumeggiante from Mascagni's Cavalleria Rusticana, sung by Sergei Polyakov and Zoran Todorovic, and of course having Emily McGee sing Lola's line, which I thought was a really wonderful closer to the entire concert. And now we get to my overall thoughts on the singers. I followed Emily McGee's career for quite some time, and much like a lot of Spinto or lyric dramatic sopranos, she started off singing a lot of the lyrical roles like the Countess Almaviva, Fiordiligi, Donna Elvira, and even Mimi from La Boheme. As time went on, she sang meteor roles in the Spinto soprano repertoire, most notably the Marschallin, Ariadne, the Foreign Princess, which is also a dramatic soprano role, and eventually the likes of Sieglinde from Die Walküre, Freya from Das Rheingold, and a lot of her interpretations of the Italian heroines like Tosca from, of course, Puccini's Tosca, and a lot of meteor roles in general. And she has found a lot of success in those said roles, and it's mostly thanks to her superb musicianship, even though there are times where the certain vocal lines can be kind of taxing on her voice. you really have to give loads of credit to Madame McGee for being a very committed musician and an equally committed actress. She really knows how to use her spinto soprano voice to the best of her abilities, really pacing herself and really finding out which lines does she have to sing in a soft manner and which lines does she have to let it all out. She's quite meticulous in terms of how she managed to sing everything. Yet you could also tell that she is quite an intelligent performer of how she not only performed Visidarte, but also Pace Pace Mio Dio, and of course her duets in Puccini's Manon Lescaut and Verdi's Otello. She was an accomplished singer, and she was just a great performer all throughout. And from what I can tell from her career that I've been following for quite some time, she definitely holds up wonderfully. I've seen YouTube clips of her singing Elsa and the Countess Almaviva, and here I thought she held herself up phenomenally. She was a totally committed artist on stage, and she was just great from beginning to end. Zoran Todorovic's voice has that signature spinto ring and ping to it. However, if there's one thing I'm not really a fan of, it's how he pronounces certain vowels. They sound quite weird to my ears, but mostly because he's not really a native Italian speaker, so I could let that slide. But it still kind of sounds funny to my ears, especially when he says certain vowels in a very... But that's just me. He's still a very accomplished musician, and he manages to give the goods thanks to his signature, fine, elegant spinto tenor voice, which can get rough at times, but is nonetheless quite emotional, especially when he has to emote certain phrases and just let it all out, which is not an easy thing to do. Sure, every time I heard him sing, I am constantly reminded of all the great artists of the past, like Franco Corelli, Carlo Bergonzi, Gastone Limarilli, all of these Italianate spinto tenors who managed to give something really energizing no matter what they sing. But even with those said caveats of certain vocal facets that may not really hold up that much, I still have to give Mr. Todorovic loads of credit in terms of him being such a very solid musician and an equally involving performer all throughout. I have seen Sergei Polyakov as Magdufo when the Lithuanian Opera House live streamed the production of Verdi's Macbeth on the opera platform, and here I thought he managed to do a very solid job in his arias. I really love the timbre of his voice. It's round and rich, but at the same time has enough power to sustain certain notes, and he's just a very committed musician all throughout. So I'm not going to mince words about the singing. It's really fabulous from all across the border, and the conducting done by Maestro Daniele Calegari was really wonderful, especially when he led the members of the orchestra and chorus of the Kungliga Operan. So overall, what a way to wrap up 2016 with this particular performance. You have great singers with the likes of Emily McGee, Zoran Todorovic, and Sergei Polyakov, who did magnificently, and of course, a great conductor like Maestro Daniele Calegari is someone you need to pay attention to, mostly because he is a grand conductor all throughout. And for those of you who caught this particular concert, what did you think of it? Was there a singer that stood out to you the most? Was there a certain number that also stood out to you the most? Comment below and let me know. Well, that's it for my review of the New Year's Eve Gala concert from the Kungliga Operan. And in all seriousness, 2016 was not really a great year for everyone. Yes, there were certain calamities that happened. Yes, there were a lot of instances where certain situations kind of went awry. And, of course, there were a lot of great icons who left us much too early, and we will miss them. And at times it can be quite depressing thinking about just how 2016 seems to be a year where everything seems to go awry. But now that 2017 is coming over, I think it's time that we look out for each other, stand together, stand strong, and just hope for the best for the upcoming year. So until then, this is Antoni signing off, wishing you all a happy new year. Stay strong and awesome as you all are. And don't forget to tune in tomorrow for my top 30 favorite reviewers of all time list, which is something that I've been wanting to do for quite some time. And this will also be dedicated to a lot of the reviewers who inspired me as an online reviewer myself. So until then, stay great as you are, everybody, and Happy New Year.